When did you realize that your parents weren't actually superheroes? I was 9 years old when my mother took her own life. A psychosis that consumed her so fast, we couldn't even react. One day, she complained about her coffee tasting weird, and 17 days later, I came home from school early to her hanging in the living room. It was at the funeral, after I gave my speech in my oversized black dress with the tag still on, that my dad hugged me and my little brother and promised us that he was here. That if we needed him to drive us to the moon and back, just so we'd feel 1% better, he'd do it. He was never present much before, but this was different. It had to be, and Ben and I believed him. For 3 months, he actually kept that promise. He made us Mickey Mouse pancakes every Saturday morning and learned how to French braid my hair from YouTube videos. Ben and I struggled a lot, but him being there helped. The change in him started small. He forgot to pack Ben's lunch one Tuesday, then forgot to pack mine. Then he missed my parent-teacher conference that same week because work ran late. Though I heard my teacher mention to someone else she smelled beer on him when he finally showed up 2 hours late. The Mickey Mouse pancakes became frozen waffles, then just cereal we poured ourselves. That one beer at dinner to help him relax turned into 3, then a whole 6-pack that he'd finished before we even cleared the table. By the time Ben broke his arm falling off the monkey bars, Dad had stopped pretending altogether. I called his phone 16 times while Ben sat there at a public bench, crying, with his bones sticking out wrong. I had to take the bus with Ben to the ER myself. At the hospital, the triage nurse kept asking where our parents were. I lied and said Dad was parking the car, but she saw right through it. She let Ben and me sit down, and after a while, she came over and started talking to us about social services and where Dad really was. That's when Dad finally stumbled in 6 hours later, reeking of whiskey and trying to act sober. Security almost removed him until I ran over and grabbed his hand, telling everyone he'd just been so worried he needed a drink to calm down. That night, while Ben slept with his new cast, I found Dad passed out in Mom's old craft room. He'd torn through her things, looking for something. I noticed her credit card statements scattered on the floor, new charges from after she died, bar tabs, and casino withdrawals, all in her name. The next morning, I started hiding Dad's car keys when he drank. I learned to forge his signature on permission slips. I set 5 alarms to wake him up for work when he was too hungover to hear them. I made Ben's lunches, helped with his homework, and changed his sheets when the anxiety made him wet the bed. I was 11 years old, grieving the death of my mother, parenting Ben, and Googling how to help an alcoholic parent on the school library computer during recess. The worst part was how Dad still played superhero in public. Every monthly anniversary of Mom's death, he'd post these long Facebook tributes about carrying on her legacy and raising us with her values. He brought us with him to bars, and his friends bought him drinks there because he was that poor widower doing his best. I remember asking one of them, Jeff, for help, but he was drunk. He showed me there was help back there, and when I went with him, he took me into the bathroom. I'd never felt more humiliated. I told Dad what happened a few weeks after, and he said he'd talked to Jeff about it, but I don't know if he ever did because Jeff came over a few weeks later to hang out, and not a word was said. That broke me. And when I tried to stage an intervention at 13, everything shattered. I'd researched everything, written out what I wanted to say, even got Ben to agree to share how scared he was about Dad and his drinking, but Dad didn't want to hear it. He threw an empty vodka bottle that shattered against the wall and caught Ben's forehead with a piece of glass. While I pressed a towel to the cut, Dad screamed that Mom was lucky she died so she didn't have to deal with us ungrateful brats anymore. I recorded him on my phone saying that. The next day, I played it for his boss and said, either he goes to rehab for 90 days or everyone at work hears this. He went. He stayed exactly 90 days. He relapsed on day 91. We were out of that home by now, but knowing he didn't love us enough to even try still hurt. Now, it's 20 years later, and my father needs a liver transplant. He's still drinking. He tracked me down at the hospital where I work. I'm a perfect match, typo negative, just like him. I told him I'd get tested. I told him I'd do the surgery, but I had one condition. He had to complete the same 90-day rehab program I forced him into when I was 15. The whole 90 days, not 89. He called me a grudge-holding butch who was murdering her own father. Said I was just like my mother, cold and selfish.